Hey, what's up guys? I am DJ Alex Brown and welcome to today's video. In today's video, I will be doing a review of WeddingWire. I'm going to create my review today based off of a few things. So I have been on WeddingWire officially for 12 months now, advertising. I've been on WeddingWire for years before that, never advertised before. So I can speak to how it's been the past 12 months, how it's been during the pandemic, and just my personal thoughts and how it's worked out for me. Everybody across the country is going to have had a different experience with WeddingWire. I know this because the comments from my previous WeddingWire videos are all over the place. Some people say, you know, I've had success on WeddingWire, and some people say, I hate WeddingWire. For the people that are watching this video that may have had a good or bad or whatever experience with WeddingWire, feel free to let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. So the first thing we have to talk about is price. Today I want to talk more than just a dollar number, but I want to talk about value. So specifically, I have my WeddingWire open next to me here. You probably can't see it very well because, you know, it's a screen. Pricing for WeddingWire, I don't think is as important as the value that is delivered. WeddingWire can deliver value in a few ways. They can get you leads, they can get you bookings. I think the key thing that a lot of people don't understand with WeddingWire is that the salespeople are going to tell you, well, one wedding is going to make it pay off. And quite frankly, that's not true. I've argued with their salespeople, and as soon as you start to argue with them, they back down pretty quickly and say, oh, meh, meh, meh. Another thing that everybody can gang up against is the WeddingWire salespeople. They are piranhas in a river full of wedding vendors. They're the pushiest salespeople I think I've ever seen or talked to. Let's get back on track and talk about value. This is my dashboard. Again, I'm focusing mainly on WeddingWire. I advertise as featured on WeddingWire. So if you don't know, there are 4 tiers on WeddingWire. I believe there's 3 for the not. So the bottom tier is free, which is called the light listing. They don't offer those anymore. You cannot be on WeddingWire for free anymore. You can't sign up. Just not possible. They have the pro listing, which is basically a step above free. It's when you're paying to advertise. Now, if you stop paying to advertise, you become a light listing. Then you have featured and then spotlight. Featured is a step up from pro. Spotlight is the highest. There's a limited number of spots for Spotlight. I'm not sure if there's a limited number for Pro or Featured or anything like that. Now in my case, it was cheaper for me to be featured on just WeddingWire than Pro on both the Not and WeddingWire. And you can no longer be Pro on just one. I wasn't seeing the value in having Pro. I was booking a wedding maybe every month and a half to 2 months, and my goal was to be booking a wedding every month on average. Out of the leads that I've received on WeddingWire, I booked 9 of those. One of them ended up getting canceled because of the pandemic. 3 have happened already, and then the rest of them, they haven't happened yet. Some of them have been rescheduled already. So in the past 12 months, obviously, I started before the pandemic, so some weddings have been rescheduled. And what I charge for a wedding, obviously, as we all know, it depends on the features. My minimum was $1,300. It's currently $1,500. I've also found that brides that look at featured listings generally spend a little bit more money. In that regard, it's going to come down to what the market is that you're advertising to. In my market, if you're a $1,000 DJ, you'll do well in, you know, the pro listing. If you're in the $1,500 area, then you'll probably do better in featured. If you're in the approximately $2,000 to $2,500 range, then you'll do better in the spotlight listing. So there's a lot of factors that go into which listing you might choose on WeddingWire. Some of the packages that I've sold are $2,000 plus with add-ons and things. But I find that on WeddingWire, it's often harder to get people to upgrade things. I have a lot easier time selling, you know, smaller upgrades, whereas when I get leads through my website or more often bridal shows, wedding expos, I'm selling a lot higher dollar value packages, but I also get less leads. So say I spend $500 on a bridal show, I would expect to sell about $2,000 to $2,500 in services. If I'm lucky, maybe $3,500. On WeddingWire, by the terms of their stupid contract, which is ridiculous, I'm not allowed to tell you what I pay, but we'll just say that I book an average of one event a month. It's actually a little less, which I would assume is primarily pandemic related, because I can see, if I go to my analytics here, I can see that there's a drop off as soon as the pandemic started. Now, WeddingWire is showing now that January is getting so much more traffic, which I kind of find to be BS, because I certainly haven't received any more leads, and I do well. As my salesperson has told me, I apparently do well for the Rhode Island area, which is concerning based on price. So let's say I spend $200 and I book $1,500 to $2,000 in dollar value. You can do the math of about how much I'm paying per month based on that, but it's a little bit more dollar value, but it's also more work. So dollar for dollar, it's a little bit more cost effective, at least for me, compared to, you know, a bridal show or something, but it's also more work because on a $500 investment, I might be doing 2 or 3 weddings, whereas a bridal show, I might be doing 1 for a little bit less. So to wrap the piece about price up, how do I feel about the price? I think it's a little expensive. I also know that I'm on about a 30% off discount, which is going to run out soon. Normally, it's supposed to be about $100 more a month than what I've been paying. They also have a assistance program for vendors that gives you 4 months of basically half off. If you're on WeddingWire and your service sucks, ask them for assistance. They'll probably give it to you. They're saying I got 243 storefront visits in the past 12 months. Out of those, they're saying I received 63 leads. Honestly, I don't even believe that number. They do some crazy things to calculate leads and bookings, which aren't really true. Out of 63 leads on WeddingWire, I think I've booked 8 or 9. That tells you what my booking rate is. And I have a pretty good booking rate. A lot of the people that I get on the phone with end up booking me. It's probably 75%. The problem with WeddingWire and the value and the quality is that you get people that contact you that are never going to respond to you. Probably because they're contacting you and 100 other DJs or 100 other vendors, and they're not able to respond to everybody. Out of 63 leads, I would probably say that half of those actually responded to the first message that I sent back to them. And that's after all of the techniques of following up with people, which leads me into my next part, and that's that you really have to be good at following up with people. You're not going to make very many sales on WeddingWire if you're afraid to send a second message when they leave you unread. I will straight up, on WeddingWire, I will straight up call people out and say, hey, I see you've read my message but didn't respond. I'm assuming that you missed it, and I'm just sending a follow-up for courtesy. When I started sending messages like that, I started getting a lot more responses to my second message when they haven't responded to the first one. Maybe it's because I called them out. I've had people that say, yes, I in fact missed it. I have so many messages coming in. I can't keep track of them. Thanks for sending a second message. We'd like to learn more. Sometimes I get people on the phone. Sometimes I don't. I'm going to tell you one thing, and that's you're not going to make yourself stand out by sending a message on WeddingWire. Scheduling a phone call with somebody and getting on the phone with them will absolutely increase your rate of bookings. Let's talk for a moment about extra features. What does WeddingWire have for extra features? Basically nothing. They are literally there to advertise your services as if you were putting, let's say, $200 a month into advertising on the first page of Google, which might not even be enough to be on the first page of Google for weddings. It's highly competitive, at least in my market. Advertising is always a gamble. It's not quite pay-per-click, but it feels like it is. WeddingWire really doesn't give you a ton of support besides webinars, a profile audit to tell you if you should improve things, and really, there's no way to get an edge over anybody else. If you advertise for featured, you're going to get probably about the same amount of leads as every other featured person because it's random. You can't pay to rank 5th. You can only pay to rank between, 4th and 14th, let's say. And I think that's a flaw of the service, is that there's no ranking. WeddingWire is so money hungry, I'm surprised they don't put bids on, who can rank first on the page, second, third, fourth, fifth, who will pay us more, because I'm sure they would make more money that way. I'm surprised why they don't. They probably wouldn't have to spend as much money on salespeople if they did that. Some things that I think would give WeddingWire more value for the money that you spend is something like access to online contracting, or access to manage all your weddings in one spot and send communication to clients. Something like what DJ Event Planner and Honeybook and other services like that provide for DJs. I spend $10 a month on DJ Event Planner. I have to go through every time I get a lead or a booking and put it in DJ Event Planner. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm a little lazy. I don't take every lead I get in WeddingWire and put it in DJ Event Planner and then track it through the process. At this point, because of WeddingWire giving so many Swiss cheese leads, I only put things into DJ Event Planner once I've gotten on the phone with them or something, that they've actually showed some interest. And the last thing I want to talk about is the work that goes in to being successful on WeddingWire, because I would consider myself successful. I can tell you though, it's taken a lot of work. It's hard to tell who is Swiss cheese and who's not, because at first they're all going to send you basically the same message. After one or two messages back and forth, you might be able to tell. But basically, what is my personal takeaway from the Not in WeddingWire advertising? What would be my maybe paragraph long review? Number one, it's expensive. Number two, it's not for the faint of heart. Number three, it's not for those that aren't already established, unless your prices match the fact that you're not already established. When I say not already established, I mean not already established on WeddingWire. Basically, if you don't have like 10 reviews on WeddingWire already, don't advertise unless you're charging the bottom price in your market. Because number one thing that brides tell me on WeddingWire when I ask, why'd you decide to contact me, is you had really good reviews. So what does that tell you if you don't have reviews on WeddingWire? Definitely don't pay for, the featured tier if you don't have any reviews. You're not going to do well. Number four is be ready to put the work in. If you're not ready to put the work in, you're not going to be successful on WeddingWire, period. You need to be ready to, for a lack of a better word, harass people until they book you. I send 5 messages. After the 5th message, if they haven't responded, then I'm done. I put them as discarded. Number 5, evaluate if WeddingWire is right for you before getting on the phone with the salesperson. WeddingWire will not give you any pricing information until you get on the phone with the salesperson. And the salesperson is going to do everything they can to get you to buy over the phone. And it's a great deal if you buy over the phone and you pull back and say, I'm not quite ready yet. Squeeze every little drop out of that salesperson if you've decided that WeddingWire advertising is going to work for you. And as a little tip, if you already advertise on WeddingWire or you decide to advertise on WeddingWire, make sure you get reviews from the brides that you book on there. Because I've personally found that the more reviews you have, the better you are going to look. Get reviews. That's like the biggest tip I could tell anybody on WeddingWire to get more bookings, is get good reviews and get more reviews. And that pretty much wraps the video up. I'm sorry if there's something that you wanted to know that I did not cover. Let me know in the comments. I respond to nearly every comment on my channel. Unless you're being a dick, then I'm not gonna reply to you. I hope you enjoyed my review of WeddingWire advertising. Please make sure, if you enjoyed the video, leave me a thumbs up, consider subscribing to my channel and hitting that notification bell to stay up to date when I post new videos like this one. But that's gonna wrap this one up. Peace.